Tony asked a question on my video where I talked about ducking the bass with the bass. And I think it's really important to clarify exactly what I was doing there. So I'm using ducking to compensate for auditory masking. So that's when the frequencies of one track interacts with the frequencies of another, and it causes a loss of definition or complete masking while taking away headroom. So in this comment, he mentioned about ducking the bass with the bass instead of the kick. That's not what I was doing at all. In my mixes, I'm actually using multiple layers of ducking. So let's look at what I'm doing in this particular session. So I'm not sure if you can see here. Over here, I've got my kick channel, and I'm sending via a key over to my three bass channels. I've got low, high, and stereo. And in this case, the stereo one, I'm actually running a mono sub. Now on all three of these bass channels, I have fab filter that is receiving the key from the kick. So my kick drum is ducking all three basses. So kick is ducking the bass. Not sure if you can see that. But because in the choruses, I've got this big, deep sub bass, that is going to interact with the low end in my electric bass. So what I'm doing in this case is I'm sending from the sub bass post fader. And remember, this sub bass is not in the whole song, it's in sections of the song. I'm sending from there into track spacer on the low frequencies of my electric bass, and I am just ducking with track spacer the low frequencies from my sub, which is the blue line. The low frequencies of the sub are being ducked out of the low frequencies from my electric bass, and I've set it up to only be doing it in this range. So what am I doing that from? From around 85 hertz. So that is ducking the low frequencies from my electric bass. It is doing pulling out what is present in the sub. Basically, when the sub is present, it pulls the lows out of my electric bass. When the sub isn't there, those lows in the electric bass come back. So I am reducing the auditory masking. Now, I also, in this particular song, there's low end in the pianos and keys. So I've actually got track spacer ducking from, there's no sub in this spot, as you can see, but I've got tracks, there it is, subs come in. That's also being pulled out of the piano. And some of these synth tracks, although there's nothing in the synth at the moment. So I hope that clarifies. Now I will use track spacer for ducking across multiple things. Sometimes I'll have track spacer ducking in the mid channel, so mids, not the sides, for my vocals. So I key the vocals into that. That sits on guitar groups, piano groups, anything that's getting in the way of the vocal. And so on those pianos where I've currently got the low end being pulled out via the sub bass, I'll also put an instance ducking the vocals out after that. So why do we duck? Well, in this case, I am ducking to compensate for auditory masking. Sometimes you duck, the kick and the bass ducking is, part of it is auditory masking. You'll get more low end definition in the kick drum when the bass is ducked, but also you're connecting the movement of the bass with the kick drum and actually helping it groove more. So you've got this bass that's supposed to be playing in time and playing with the drums. Now it's dynamically moving with the drums as well because it's being triggered by the kick. So yeah, we're ducking for auditory masking, for groove, and definitely I'm ducking the bass with the kick and the low end from the electric bass with the sub bass to let that sub bass resonate with definition. When the low end from the electric bass and the sub bass are in there, there's this lack of focus, lack of definition because they're interacting, and it's taking headroom away from my mix bus. And headroom with auditory masking, we're not hearing it, but it's taking away because there's more energy in the mix. So hope that helps.